far tonight.
Yeah, so far, but probably have some more come in later. So anyway, welcome. Glad you're here. You know, sometimes weather gets us, but anyway. But welcome to the internet, folks. We're glad you're with us. Tonight, we're going to be talking about confession. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it'll be beneficial. Hopefully it will. But this is Saturday Night Live Life Recovery. And that's where we endeavor to take the messiness of life and process it and work through it. And the truth of it is, which I didn't believe in my earlier years, but it's really hard and maybe impossible to do it alone. Anybody agree with that statement? Yes. And so we got a smart, sharp crowd here tonight. So anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about confession. We're going to be dealing with step 4. This is our last week on step 4, right, Willie?
Yes.
Yeah. And so Willie's going to be doing this, teaching the step, and Lori's going to be doing the reflection. So, step 4, our topic again is confession, Nehemiah 9, 1 through 3. Step 4 is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. The thing that's jumped out at me as I was going through this again, we have a tendency to take inventory of others, but what we're talking about is taking an inventory of ourselves. And we really can't do a whole lot about others. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And sometimes we can't hardly do anything with ourselves, but we have the greatest possibility of doing something with ourselves. So tonight we're going to be talking about confession and what that means. So what does confession mean?
Admitting.
Say it again.
Admitting.
Admitting. Okay.
Wrongs.
Yes. Admitting your wrongs. Right. Anybody else?
Admitting your failures.
Admitting your failures. Yes. Come on, you read the paper that I put out. What's the first line there says about confession?
Admitting the truth about something.
That's admitting the truth about something, because I felt like the word truth is significant here.
It is.
Okay? So, admitting the truth about something. Usually something that we've done wrong, which is basically what you were referring to. So, and again, this confession can either be spiritual, it can be legal, it can be personal. But this is really, and I think it says it in this paper. We probably won't go through it, but I got a paper back here by the offering container that confession is really doctoring your own sick soul. Okay, and that's part of the process. Now, be quite honest with you. Even though we're going through step 4. And we're talking, they select, in the Life Recovery Bible, they selected this topic for us. But actually, this topic has more to do with step 5 than it does with step 4, even though it's applicable, okay? But because step 4 is about making that inventory, figuring out what's going on, digging down and seeing the truth of the positive and the negatives, and then when you've done that, because you don't have anything really to confess until you come to the truth, right? Yes. And so anyway, that's just some truth of it. I have 3 scriptures that I selected down there, like 1 John 1:9. It says, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us of all of our sins or unrighteousness. Righteousness is right standing with God, and so unrighteousness would be our unstanding with God. So, anyway. So, and you can read the rest of those scriptures. The connection between step 4 and confession. Well, again, we're making a searching and fearless moral inventory. So what we're what we're trying to do is, anybody want to comment on that or quote what's on the paper?
Yeah, I can read that.
Okay.
This step is all about looking honestly at our life, our patterns, mistakes, resentments, and the harm we cause. It's like holding up a mirror to our soul.
Right. And I underlined our life, our patterns, our mistakes, our resentments, and the harm we've caused others, and of course ourselves too. Okay, so we're getting honest about that. You know, instead of doing the human thing and blaming everybody and everything else on what's going on, we have to take responsibility for our life. In fact, even if we didn't do it, even if it's not our fault, even if somebody did it to us, we still have to take responsibility, because we can't get any better if we don't go ahead and engage and take personal responsibility. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a big sign of health. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you end up in a hole. You have to take responsibility for being in that hole so that you can get out. Hey, I'm in the hole. Here I am. Let's get out. No matter how you got there. Okay, does that make sense? Are you with me on that?
No.
You're not in your head. You're not, even though you said that, you're emotionally dysregulated.
I am.
And so, and if you try to use your head to regulate you, it's really difficult.
It's not working out.
Okay, so maybe you ought to let that go and do it the other way. So, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Doug.
Little spot there. Let's see. So that's the connection, is that we have to confess. The confession is what happens after that moral inventory, which I already said. Of course, that's what I'm reading here right now. And so, and the statement on the paper, I put it in yellow and underlined it and pointed the arrow to it because I wanted to make sure that I read it. It's where the healing really begins. That's what they said. But that may or may not be true. Because I think the healing begins when we start the inventory. Okay? Not the confession. Okay? Does that make sense? But and before the inventory, that we're the willingness to look. Step 4 says we made a searching and fearless. That means we decided to do something. We stepped into it. We stepped into what? To make a moral inventory. And that decision is really the beginning of our healing. So, all right. Comments? Questions? Yes, sir.
I like what you wrote down here about the connection between step 4 and 5. Step 4 is digging up the weeds.
Right.
And step 5 is pulling them out.
It's
exposing to the light and which is truth telling.
And I thought that stuff is really good. Brings clarity on what step 4 and step 5 is, and because a lot of people hate step 4 because they see it as all bad. But as I've said many times, it's just the beginning. Okay, it's being willing to make that turn and be willing to look. And the fact of it is, we're not going to see it all anyway. It comes in layers. Our brain won't even let us see it all. But what we do see, I personally believe this. It's not in the literature here, but I believe that when we have gained the ability to see it, God gives us the ability to deal with it. That's what I believe. So how's that? Thank you, Robert, for that. Anybody else? Are we ready for some music? I see I'm trying to always get to, be done by quarter after, so.
You're doing good.
Yeah, well, thank you. You can say it again if you want.
You're doing good, Doug. Good job. Will this just stay on, Lori?
Yeah, it should just be on.
When you get to it, just push left. See it? Where did I put my music?
You might need to push it, play it before the screen goes dark on it.
What'd you say?
If the screen goes dark, I'll put it back in.
Wait 1 second. Okay.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as you sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Is the screen on her phone still on? Jesus, anointed one, Jesus, your name is like honey on my lips, your spirit's like water to my soul, your word is a lamp unto my feet. Jesus, I love you. love you, Jesus, risen and exalted one, Jesus, your name is like honey on my lips, your word is like water to my soul, your word is a lamp unto my feet, Jesus, I love you. I love you, Jesus, Jesus, holy and anointed one, Jesus. Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice song.
We haven't done that one in like, I don't know, 8 years? Long time. I grew up with that song in Assemblies of God. I love it.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And he is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these eclipsed by glory, I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us so. And we are his portion, he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. When heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest, I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. And we are his portion, and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. So heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how doing the steps. Does anybody need a bracelet? We don't have you need a bracelet. Never mind, we're gonna do it.
So you're doing it?
The bracelets?
Yeah,
I'm reading it.
okay.
Okay. Oh, you're asking about, calm down,
You'll be
Vanessa.
all right.
Which one?
Here at Saturday Night Live, we like to acknowledge clean time with colorful bracelets. This clean time isn't just from drugs and alcohol, but for whatever keeps you in bondage. Drugs, alcohol, anger, gambling, food addiction, lying, cheating, stealing, pornography, sex addiction, cutting, you fill in the blanks. We have white bracelets just for today or less than 30 days. Orange for 30 days. Green for 60 days. Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Maroon for 90 days. I'm gonna go through them all, just, blue for 6 months. Yellow for 9 months. Glow in the dark for a year. Gray for 18 months. Black for 2 up to 5 years. Silver for 5 up to 10 years. And gold for 10 or more. Next month I'll get my 5-year. So I'm so excited. I had,
Four in October.
congratulations. I had 10 years. And then
Huh?
I said, I had 10 whenever.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Tommy.
It's the 12 steps. Number 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our problems and our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made a direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, properly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And we're on number 4, so I'll read that again. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello, Willie.
Willie's up, he's gonna be doing the step, or teaching the step.
Yeah, this is going good. How y'all doing tonight? You hear me all right? Good. Confession out of Nehemiah 9:1-3. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. As we make our moral inventory, we will probably find ourselves listing our destructive habits, our defects of character, the wrongs we have done, the consequences of wrong choices that we now live with, and the hurt we have caused to others.
So do you agree or disagree with those statements?
Oh, I agree. When you do it, it starts bringing out stuff that you didn't think of for a long time.
Okay, so which one would be most troublesome in your inventory in those areas that they were talking about? And I want to ask the rest of you too, so.
For me,
Yeah.
it would be the realization of me finding out that I hurt that other person that bad.
Okay, so the hurt you caused others.
Yes.
Okay.
The fact that this, would be mine.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, Tom?
Would I say harassing other people when I thought that they were in the wrong?
Harassing other people, thinking that they were in the wrong?
Yeah, like being, like overly being mean to them, maybe?
Yeah, so what one of those items would that fall in?
And under this here?
Yeah,
Uh,
destructive habits,
Destructive habits
okay, maybe. What about,
and a defective character.
I was kind of looking at that.
Yeah, it'd be my defective character would cause a destructive habit.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, I was waiting on you and I got two more after you.
The consequences of wrong choices we've made,
Consequences of wrong choices.
particularly in relationships.
Right,
Many times, I mean, in my case, I'm trying to repair relationships, but it's difficult.
yeah, it is.
And, sometimes I find myself getting frustrated, but I shouldn't, because I caused it. And so I have to remind myself, I'm trying to repair something, and if they don't receive it well, that's a consequence of what I did, So
And it's a tough one.
it's hard, but things are getting better slowly.
Good. And this thought came to my mind, I've heard it used before, not in this exact context, but you're putting a lot of time and effort into recovering or trying to restore the relationships, and they may not be putting that much time in restoring the relationship, and so it would be frustrating if we're working hard and they don't seem to be, but there's, as you said, there's a reason behind that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process. So that was one of the things I had circles that we now live with. The choices we made, we now live with them. And it's a weight, and we do what we can to try to make amends and turn it around. Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna bare my soul a little bit, and maybe somebody has something they can help me with. I'm trying really hard, but I don't want to be pushy. I think that's the wrong approach. I'm trying to just let them know that I want to talk to them whenever they feel like it and things like that. But then I have a friend who I go to church with that constantly asks me, how's it going? And then he says, just go down there and park yourself on their doorstep and say, and things will be all right. And I don't think that's the right approach myself, and I don't want to do that. So, and I'm trying not to hurt his feelings, because I know he just wants what's best, but anyway.
Yeah. So what is it that if anybody had something to help you in, what would that be? What's the question, if there is a question?
Am I being too easy? I mean, should I force myself and say, I'm your father and you've got to talk to me and that's just the way it is? Or
Well, I think you heard the groans.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right.
That's not, I mean, that wouldn't work with you, you know?
No, it wouldn't.
And,
Robert,
excuse me?
Robert, as someone who was estranged from their father for 20 years, you can't do that. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
And
maybe I'm just looking for confirmation
Well-
that I'm making the right approach.
Well, nobody knows for sure what's right.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have a probably good, reasonable thermometer in that way. It may, from an outsider, it says, oh, sure, it's simple. Just do X and Y, and everybody's got the answer when it's somebody else's problem.
Right.
But there are a couple of things that you might want to look at that I could say if you want me to, and one is, well, I'll use a little bit of a personal story and illustration. I had some people in the church that I really tried to help and work with, and for years, and then all of a sudden they got mad at me for some reason, and then they started talking ugly and treating me bad and other people bad in my family, and that troubled me, and so I asked God to make it possible that maybe something would happen where I would be able to be helpful, to help in their situation. But I forgot to pray and help me be willing to do that. And that's kind of my advice here is to be, when the window gets open, we have to be willing to make the effort. And in my particular case, I hesitated, but I didn't hesitate for very long when the situation arose, because the guy fell out of a tree, almost died. He was in the hospital, he had surgery, and they asked me to come to the hospital on a holiday, type deal, which seems like I always get called to the hospital on the holidays. But I went. I prayed quite a bit about my attitude on the way, but by the time I got there, I was doing okay, So when the window opens, you want it to open, so you have to be ready to go through that. Well, and how can that window open? Well, similar to what I said, I prayed and asked God to open that up, make a way. And then something I've learned in the last 5-10 years is that I practice sending love to those individuals, and sending like a beam of love from my heart going to their heart, and visualizing it actually penetrating them. And I believe it has some effect on them, but it has a greater effect on you. And so, that will open up the probabilities that window opening will happen. Those are my thoughts. What do you think?
Excellent.
Okay.
I do pray a lot about the situation. And I mean, it's getting better, slowly. I mean, I call them.
Good.
And I say, feel free to call me also, but I'm gonna call back in a while.
And do that. That'd be great. And sending cards at appropriate times. Things like that. I had a guy 25, 30 years ago that was in my office, and he said, I don't know I don't even know how this topic came up. He said, one thing I want to say that my dad did right. My dad and mom got a divorce, but he came back to Missouri, and I stayed with my mom in California. Said, but my dad called every Saturday night, and most Saturday nights I wouldn't talk to him. But that meant so much to me that he called. And when he was telling me that, he was living here in Missouri with his dad.
Oh.
So, you know, I'm saying it did something to him, and he moved back, he moved here to where his dad was. And he was like, 25 or something like that at that time, maybe a little older. So anyway, I'm just saying, you know, the thought that I had a while ago that brought that thought up is sometimes we have to find creative ways to create that lines of communication.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just think that there's just only one way, but there are multiple ways. We just have to find them. And I'll shut up. So,
All right.
anybody else?
I can just say, my own experience with my kids, you know, all I could do on my part was admit authentically without expectation, you know. And even when I didn't hear what I really wanted to hear and it hurt, you know, it's still a seed that's planted. And then they'll be observing, you know. My oldest, she didn't talk to me for 7 months. And then she came in, I got to see her. We spent some time together. Did that a couple times. She's not talking to me again. I don't know why, you know, but that's her process, you know, and it's no longer personal because I did my part, you know, and when she wants to talk, then, you know, if there is more things that I need to apologize for, you know, it is what it is. Like, that's the only way that I can say it, because, and that's from a girl perspective, because I also had a dad who he wanted to be, you know, you gotta be this way because I'm dad. That didn't work out for us. You know, I don't know what gender your kids are, but,
Yeah.
and it is different with, I think, boys and girls. So.
Well, I got 2 of each.
So.
And to Vanessa's point, you know, it takes us a while to get our poisons out,
Yeah.
and it takes a while for them to get theirs out.
Yeah. Definitely.
But sometimes when we get that poison out and we hear it coming out of our mouth, we thought, was that really in me? You know, I mean, I've had that happen.
Yeah.
And even though we fear that rejection, it's going to always continue to hurt until we take a risk. And even if we take a risk and it hurts, at least you took a risk. And that's better than never knowing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And chances are you'll feel better about yourself because you took a risk, whatever the results were. And that's really a key thing about building our own personal integrity back.
Yeah. Just the fact that I made the steps to get phone numbers and reach out and call them, that made me feel good.
Yes.
And then the fact that they actually talked to me made me feel even better. But now I want more, you know.
That's good.
Yes.
I'm not sure they do.
Well,
But
chances
anyway.
are they very well could, but you know, it's a process, right? It's a process, and prayer and putting some action to your prayer faith is also important, you know, and not doing too much, but not doing anything. Those are the two extremes. So you have to get somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Thank you all for your input.
Well,
Very helpful.
thank you for being vulnerable and open. Okay, Willie.
It's like shifting through.
Sifting. It's sifting.
I can't pronounce that right.
Sifting. Yeah, well, I'll say it for you.
There you go.
Sifting. It's like sifting through.
All the garbage in our past. This is painful, but it is necessary part of throwing away those rotten habits and behaviors that, if not dealt with, will almost certainly spoil the rest of our lives.
Okay. Now, I underlined, if not dealt with. So what do you think about that?
Well, you know, if we don't deal with it, we ain't gonna get no better. And it's gonna be there, and the only reason that it come up is because we were searching, we were putting out the effort to find out what the problem was.
Good, good. So what is it that, that we need to deal with?
Our rotten habits and our behaviors.
Yeah, and our rotten behaviors. Right?
Garbage. All that
I mean, I
garbage.
added the rotten behaviors, but it's behaviors. But
Yeah.
that's what they're talking about. So what does that all mean to you?
If I continue to harass people when they upset me, like I was saying before,
Yes.
then I wouldn't get no better. Even if I was getting better and still harassing people, that would not be healthy.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, how would I be making a first moral inventory if I was still harassing people?
Say it again.
How would I be making a fearless moral inventory if I was still doing the things that I was supposed to be like inventorying and getting through? Or-
Well, the inventory is just about the rotten stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you can take inventory and keep on doing it.
and yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we're talking about confession tonight, right?
Yeah, why would I want to though?
Oh, why would you want to?
Yeah,
Only you can answer that question. Why do you want to do that, Tommy?
because I'm stuck in the habit.
Okay, there you go. Good answer.
There you go.
Okay, so it's just a habit. So that's one of those rotten, sick habits
Yeah.
that, and do you know what a habit is? What's a habit?
Something familiar,
Something familiar?
something that's familiar that you think you have done, you done and you continue to do and you can't. You can break the cycle, but you don't do to.
Repeat it.
What was that, Tommy?
Something you do in repetition.
Okay, thank you, John. Anybody else? What's a habit? Lori, what's a habit?
Well, something you do just automatically without even realizing it or thinking about it. It just comes like
yeah.
automatically without,
Yeah. Without thinking about it, right?
yeah.
Well, I want to talk about that in a second, but that's really a good statement.
It's a go-to automatic reflex.
Uh-huh.
It's
But
almost-
I saw Christy.
I get up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and then I go turn my coffee pot on. I don't think about it, I just do it.
Just do it, but you're on automatic pilot.
Uh-huh.
You don't think about it.
Don't think about it.
You just gonna say something, Robert?
It's kind of like a reflex.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the only
If
thing,
this happens, I do this.
the only thing I think about is where's the dog poop at?
It's something you do repeatedly over time.
Uh-huh.
You train yourself to do it, and
Mm,
once you're trained, it's done.
Okay,
And
all
you
right.
do it.
Yes. And I believe, and I believe there's neuroscience to back it up, that's part of what God's given us to do, because when anything becomes a habit, you don't have to think about it.
Mhm.
It's just automatic. You don't have to make the choice, because you already made a choice and made it part of your automatic operating system. And so, and that way, it don't take up any of your mental energy to function, which is a good thing if they're healthy habits. But if they're unhealthy habits, then that's a different story, right? And that's what we're talking about here, rotten habits and rotten behaviors. Like you were saying, Tommy, it's a habit, right?
It's repetitive nature.
Repetitive, it's just a reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, it's part of that survival mechanism that's in our lizard brain, that it's impulsive.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we want to let impulsive, unhealthy reactions or responses run our life?
No, not at all. But we do.
And so So how do we deal with that, Tommy? You brought this up, it's your fault. Why don't you help us get out of it?
What's the question again?
How do we get out of this rotten habits or behaviors?
Becoming aware of it.
There you go, absolutely. Because that's the first step of recovery, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you can't deal with anything you're not aware of.
No.
Because it's automatic, so you don't have to think about it. It's kind of like driving home.
Yeah.
You've done it so many times, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Until you move, go someplace else, and you find you're going down the wrong road. Because you weren't thinking about it. Okay, good deal. Let's see, I had some other notes in here, but I think we'll go on.
The returned Jewish exiles confessed their own sins. This phrase speaks volumes.
Okay, wait a minute. What does this mean about the returned Jewish exiles confessing their sins? What does that mean?
It means when they found out that they were doing wrong, they confessed to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I have a touchy next question.
Okay,
Are you ready for a touchy next question?
I'll let you know.
Okay. If you don't know it's sin, is it sin?
That is touchy, ain't it?
Could be.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
It is touchy, or it is what?
It is sin.
Oh, it is?
Leviticus 4 says so. Sorry.
So,
being
did you
ignorant
want-
is not an excuse.
uh,
So, and I believe that most people know either way if it's a sin or not, regardless. That's part of the, you know it somehow.
and these exiles, they didn't realize how bad they were living, and what were they confessing? He'll say later, but they were confessing their sins
And their answers.
and their ancestors' sins, because do you think how our ancestors lived has anything to do with us?
Yes.
I had a couple answers on that, but yeah. We are affected by our surroundings and our
If
parents.
that's what we know from
That's all
growing
you know.
up, that's what we know. So we're going by what we know.
And our parents are our first gods.
Yes.
So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in. That was extra. I hope you don't mind.
No problem.
See what else I have written down here. Okay. I maybe jumped the gun here. I said is poison if you don't know it?
Is poison if you don't notice? That's the question?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yes.
That was my
You're trying
my evidence, you know. So, all right, go ahead, Willie.
The idea of confession involves not only owning up to one's sin, but being truly sorry for them as well.
So what does that say?
Well, you got to, not only are you confessing about it, but you got to be sorry that you done it.
You not only recognize that you done it, but you need to actually be sorrowful because you did it.
Right.
Because I know it wasn't right, and that's not the way I really want to be. I don't want to be that way. I'm sorry, right?
Right.
So just knowing that you're wrong is not enough. Because some people can be wrong and be happy about it, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
Sins are, hold on, I messed up somewhere. Where did I leave off?
It's a next sentence. Yeah, your sins are offenses against God.
Sins are offenses against God, including any transgressions against His will.
Anybody here know what transgressions mean?
Any kind of behavior or word or whatever towards another person that causes harm
Okay. Anybody else?
or towards you.
Okay.
I Googled it.
Okay. Thank God for Google.
An act that goes against a law, rule, or code of conduct, an offense.
Okay. Yes. Anybody else? Well, one of the definitions I looked up, a transgression is more than just a mistake. Okay? It applies knowing. You know that it was wrong and you did it anyway. Right? So, not that you just made a mistake, but you knew that you weren't, it was against the law, you knew you weren't supposed to do it, but you did it anyway. And so, and you chose the wrong path on purpose. Okay? And that's, that is a transgression. So the difference between a mistake or sin and a transgression is, one is you did it on purpose, and the other one it was a mistake, unintentional. Does that make sense? Is that too much? Now there's multiple scriptures that talks about God forgiving us our transgressions, right? He does forgive us he seems to say, I forgive you your sins and your transgressions, right?
Yeah.
Well, why would he say the same thing twice if it meant the same thing, right? There's a significance between the two. Does that, did that help any? Okay, so I thought I wanted to throw that in there. So transgression against His will, and that's where we stopped.
The natural follow-up to true confession, after owning up to one's sin and bemoaning them before God, is to turn from them.
Okay, so to bemoan means what?
Mourn.
Mourn, yes.
Confess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would be in a sense doing that.
Feel bad about it.
Feeling bad, expressing deep grief,
Oh, okay.
What was the question?
bemoaning.
Right.
What the definition of bemoaning here? That was the script word that was used, but it's so. Tommy, what does Google say?
Let's see. Expressing discontent or sorrow over something.
Yes. Okay. So they were owning up, which is very important. They were owning up to their sin, what they did wrong, and they were grieving over it. I'm going to insert grieving instead of bemoan, which is basically what they were doing before God, and this was them turning themselves back to Him, right? They were making that shift, emotional shift. They were doing the emotional work to make an emotional shift. It's kind of like, bringing ourselves back into emotional regulation. Okay? Anybody else? Did you have any thoughts, Vanessa?
The morning? Sorry, I'm not paying attention.
Oh, okay. All
I'm
right.
tapped out.
Let's go ahead.
The Israelites' confession can be served as a model for us all to follow as we take our moral inventory. We can list the occasions of our offenses, our destructive habits, and the consequences that we have brought unto our lives and the lives of others.
Go ahead.
Then, after accounting for all of the garbage, we can take out the trash.
Okay, so there's some really strong words in those couple of sentences, and talking about becoming aware of our offenses, right, and our destructive habits, and the consequences, because there's always consequences to everything, right? Okay, God will forgive us for our sins and our trespasses, and He'll help us work through the consequences, right? And so, what are they talking about, Willie? About taking out the trash?
Well, once we realize our destructive habits, when we make our inventory and we get that, then once it's out in the open, we can get rid of it so we don't have to carry the burden around with us on it.
Okay. So, go ahead, Robert.
But I think we have to take that middle step, account for the garbage, like the Israelites did. They could see how badly they had strayed from following God's law, and they said, wow, my God, we are so sorry. We're sorry that our forefathers didn't do it. It's time for us to do things different. So we're going to take out that old behavior, get rid of it. We're going to start a new path.
And what we're really focusing on right here is about this old behavior, this rotten stuff. Okay, we got some rotten stuff in the house. Okay, have you ever had rotten stuff in the house? Yeah, and so Lori, what do you do with rotten stuff in the house?
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. You just put it in the trash, right there by the sink, right, and let it sit there for another few more days, right? Or weeks. Okay. So the question was about, what does this mean? Take out the trash.
Put it in a big black trash bag and you haul it out to the road.
When you were talking, Robert, I remember there was a time at the house that we had like an infestation of gnats, and my wife was cleaning the sink and bleaching every drain and cleaning underneath the sink and the cabinets and checked out all the cabinets and couldn't find out where this was. I mean, she's going everywhere, and I was in the garage, and the garage is a lower level, and for some reason I grabbed a hold of a 5-gallon bucket, and it had corn in it, but it's corn from some event we had here at the church, and I bought it and they used it, and I took it home and was going to keep it for next time, but I think somebody dumped some water in the corn or something, and anyway, I found where the gnats were coming from, and so when I got rid of that, guess what happened?
More gnats.
It took a little bit to
You
for them
found
to
the source
Yeah.
of the issue.
Yeah, and got it out of the house, and the consequences of that started fading. Okay, the gnats started disappearing. They didn't do it all in one day, but they emptied out pretty quickly. So anyway, so we have to recognize the rotten stuff. What we're talking about, we call that an inventory, right?
Yes.
And then we recognize it, then we confess it, because that's what we're talking about, right? Yes, and when that confession means we are sorry, not just I recognize I did it wrong, I'm sorry I did that wrong, you know. I'm sorry for the problems that I've affected other people and in myself, because there's always consequences, isn't that true?
Yep.
When you plant the seed, stuff grows, right? So we got to take the trash out. We got to get rid of it. And in the spiritual sense, that is what?
Repentance.
Repentance, confession and repentance. Right?
I don't have an answer. It's not for outside voice. It wasn't nice.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'm glad I didn't catch that. So,
Oh, I thought that's why you looked at me.
well, I heard a noise, but I didn't know what it was. So, all right. Let's get back on the path here.
Their confession, the Israelites owned, bemoaned, and then discarded their sins. After this, they were better able to make a new start. We can own the garden.
Wait. Any thoughts on that? They owned, bemoaned, they discarded. Okay, we already talked about that, taking out the trash.
They took responsibility.
They took responsibility, yes, and that's so important. And after that, what happened?
They got rid of it.
They got rid of it after that. It says after this, they
Made a new start.
were better able to make a new start. Better able. That's I wanted to better able. Okay, why? Because the source was gone. The poison was gone. Okay, the instigator of the sickness, so to speak, whether it's soul sickness or physical sickness, is gone. Okay. Sometimes you have to clean the house, right? And the house I'm talking about is this house.
Yep.
And sometimes it's this house. And sometimes it's this house. So, okay, go ahead, Willie.
We can own the garbage in our own life by taking personal responsibility for our choices and actions.
What does that mean?
That means we can take control of it.
Take control of what?
We can take control of our mistakes.
Let's read that sentence again, okay?
We can own the garbage in our own life by taking personal responsibility for the choices and actions.
Okay. So what does that mean?
So we can own our own garbage.
Okay. So it's my stink that's stirring up the stink, right?
Right.
So I need to take some sort of action, right? And what would that action be?
Throwing it away.
There you go. Taking the trash out, getting rid of it,
Yes, it's,
sanitizing it.
yes, it's mine, but no, I'm getting rid of it.
Yes. Okay? Because we can't fix anything that we don't recognize, right?
True.
That's what we talked about a while ago.
Yes.
If you can't identify it, you can't deal with it.
You can only put perfume on stank so long, but and then after all, it don't work.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to cover up skunk stink?
It does not work.
It doesn't.
And tomato juice just makes it smell like tomatoey skunk.
And so, but if you know, I know we had a dog that got into it, and Linda, you know, gave it several baths, and it got better each time because it was eliminating what we could eliminate, right? But it still took a while. It spent quite a bit of time out in the fence in the backyard, you know, so. And she is very sensitive to smell, so. Okay, any other comments?
I have a recipe to cure that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Baking soda, Dawn dish soap, and peroxide.
Yes, but you know what happens when you have a nice chocolate brown colored dog? it dyes their fur and then they look goofy and then all the other dogs in the neighborhood laugh at your dog.
But it will get rid of the smell. It might take 2 applications, but
How do you know, how can you tell a dog's laughing?
Well, the other dogs were laughing
You
at
don't
my
wanna
dog and she was
go
so
in there.
embarrassed she
How-
put her
how-
head
how
down
can-
and wouldn't go.
How do you discern a dog laugh? That's what
women
I,
know.
huh?
We
Women
know.
know. We know. Ask Linda.
I think it's projection.
We know.
I think
We
it's
know our
I think it's
dog.
projection.
We know our dog is Doug.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna back out of this one. Go ahead,
It'd
Willie.
be good. I'll probably get it the rest of the night, though.
Well, you can handle it.
We can bemoan and allow ourselves to grieve. We can discard and leave it behind and turn towards the future.
Any thoughts? Anybody? Any thoughts? Glad you made it, Will. Okay.
It's a freedom.
Say it again.
It's a freedom.
Next,
To be
tell
able
us
to-
more.
Is to be able to grieve it, and because you're gonna suffer some type of, like, I still want that. That's a part of me, that's a habit, you know? But if you grieve it and you allow it to leave.
Good. That's good, Tommy.
And that does take several processes, because,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm. That's really important, that information for us all to grasp that right there.
No.
It's just not one and done, right?
No.
It's a process, and grieving it, bemoaning it, is part of it, and then we can discard it. But just because we have thrown something away or gotten rid of it or said I'm not doing that anymore, doesn't mean that it's just because you let go of it supposedly in your hand, doesn't mean that it doesn't have a hold of you. And that's what some of that grieving's about. Wouldn't you agree with that? So, Willie, anybody else got anything to say before I ask the 2 last questions? Okay. What did you learn from this lesson, Willie?
That confession is actually, in this part, confession is what will get you started to seeing where the real problem lies.
I believe that. Anybody else? What'd you get from this lesson?
That, I got a
You
lot
can
of
Google
this.
the answer, Tommy.
Did you hear what she said, Tommy?
Right now.
She said you can't Google that answer.
I thought that.
But you've had many good responses tonight. So
I
what?
learned a lot from this one.
Good. What'd you learn? That's the question.
Recognize my stuff, confess it, get rid of it, or mourn it and grieve it and get rid of it.
Good.
Or get rid of it and grieve it. I don't know which part you do first.
Some of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I think some of it you get rid of it and then grieve it and then get rid of some more.
I
'Cause
think
you,
a little more.
you don't know what you held on to.
Yeah.
I think some of it, some reason why we get stuck in certain cycles is because we're grieving having to let it go,
Yes.
and we don't want to, you know, and I'm talking about like behaviors, like I like being petty,
Right.
and I don't want to let that go necessarily, but then you do grieve it afterwards, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But maybe we need to ask ourselves a question, what is it that, using that term petty, what is pettiness? What about that is it that I'm looking for or that I like out of it?
Oh, it's still vengeance, but it's not a felony. It's not throwing hands and like
Well,
actually
that's
hurting
a couple
someone.
notches on the, going in the right direction, I guess.
I mean, it's honest, but it's like, gosh, like having to get rid of all of the levels of vengeance, I guess, is really what it is. And it's like, if I, you know, that's things I have to come to terms with. Yeah.
Well, when I read in the Old Living Bible that vengeance is like a boomerang.
I know.
It comes, you throw it out at people, but it comes back and hits you in the head.
Which is probably why I have a headache.
Okay, Willie, what's your takeaway?
The fact that I don't have to live with the choices that I made if I'm willing to confess them and I can move on with them.
That's good. That's good. Very good. Thank you, Willie. Glory. I hear she's been working on this for months.
Yes. Wow, it's hot up here.
Is it?
Yeah, the hot seat or
Yeah.
hot flash.
You just realize you Tom yet, he got a chance to get back.
He's loading. He's loading.
He's
up.
loading it up.
I put Google away.
Okay. Question 1. What behaviors over my lifetime have been offensive to God? Any behavior that is sin.
That's a good safe answer.
Yes. Safe as
What is
good.
sin?
Huh?
What is sin?
Anything that's offensive to God.
Girl. Strong.
Does anybody have any comments on that question?
He helped me study.
Do what?
Yeah, a bit vague.
That's a lot of
Well, you know, this is her first time in reflection, so.
No,
I understand.
from we all have those childhood sins that we learn as we're growing up, the simple lies that we don't know I didn't do that, as we've got our hand in the cookie jar, that you learn, those all the way up to the sins that led me to my life-changing
You don't
gardening
have to
moments.
expose anything you don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I know,
I
but
just want to make sure you know that.
yeah, that's why
They
I
were
was kind
leaning
of.
on you a little bit, so, but I just,
Yeah, that's why. But all those sins everyone has, those minor little ones that we learn and guide us through our life that are our building blocks to those major ones that are life changing. It's just all of any sin in our life is offensive to God,
oh, sure.
especially the ones that
Particularly the ones that you're not willing to talk about.
exactly, especially the ones that we keep hidden
Yes.
from God and keep hidden from ourselves,
Right.
which is the ones that we're talking about
And that's what the inventory is about.
today, the ones that we don't want to acknowledge
And,
or find.
but you remember, we're in step 4, we're building an inventory. Step
Yes.
5 is where we express it to God.
Yes.
Ourselves and another human being.
Yes, but before we can do that, we have to find it
We do.
and realize it.
Let's go to question number 2.
Okay. What destructive habits need to be identified and confessed to God? Again, any habit that does not honor God or that are of a sinful nature.
We're talking about identifying. It's we talked about habit a while ago, right?
Yes.
That it's automatic. We don't even think about it.
Yes.
And now we're talking about think about it.
Think about
What is it that's putting a block up between us and God that we're not even thinking about? And so that's what we're talking about, identifying it, and then
Confess it to God.
right, confess it. Okay. let's go to the next one.
Okay. What blocks and resistances do I have to being honest with God about my wrongdoings? And I think the last time I was up here, I had a question and I said the same answer, none. I'm at a point now where I don't hold anything back from God.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I can't. But I wasn't always like this by any means. So I had to kind of stop and think back to when I was. Because God already knows. God's kind of like a mom, you know. I said this, like God knows. God knows. And for me to try to pretend like he doesn't is only foolish for me.
It's true, but it's human, right?
It is human, yes.
Adam and Eve did it to start off with.
Yes, and as kids, the kids do it.
Yes.
Hand in the cookie jar. What are you doing? Are you taking a cookie? No.
And they got chocolate all over their face.
Right. I see your hand in the cookie jar. Are you taking the cookie? No.
Making sure they're all there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, John's not taking, he's just counting.
You know, from
And
what,
licking his fingers in between.
yeah. From, you know, from what I'm gathering, and I'm probably wrong because I'm just not the sharpest, you know. I homeschooled my kids. My theory was I only had to be one day smarter than them.
Well,
You know, it worked.
you can manage that, that's pretty good.
It worked, you know. God just wants us to fess up and admit it first to ourselves. And then to him. Because if you don't admit it to yourself first, then you can't admit it to God. If you can't,
true.
You know, if you can't look
And that's
at
step
your
5.
right.
Yep, that's step 5. And so, that's good. So, it says, what blocks or resistances do I have to being honest? So, why are we resistant to being honest with God?
And like I said, right now I'm not, but I used to be because I was
And why?
full.
Why
Well, all
why
the
were you
things
then?
we talked about before, the shame, the embarrassment
Okay.
that I felt.
And so if somebody has that shame and embarrassment and they're resisting or blocking God and not wanting to be honest, how can they deal with, to get to a closer place than your, way that you are right now? How were you able to make that transition?
I hit rock bottom.
Excuse me?
I hit rock bottom.
Okay, all right.
I just hit bottom. I had no choice but to give it to God
Okay.
and to fight.
Well, that's
And
what
struggle.
brought everybody here in this
Yeah.
room, right? Right?
Yeah.
And we finally said, I've come to the end of myself. I can't do it on my own.
Mm-mm.
I need some help.
I need help.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
I need help, and that's what it was. Is I couldn't. I was
And as
lost.
long as you're not honest with God, then you're not in a position to receive His help.
Yeah.
You'll get some of His help, but you're not going to get all that you need because
No.
you're resistant, right?
Right. No, and until I came to the point where I was totally empty.
Does anybody have anything to say on that question? Okay, all right. Anybody here have a problem with resisting God and not being honest? You and Tommy, yeah, okay. All right. Okay, let's do number 4.
What consequences from past wrong choices am I living with today? Every single one. Every single one of my choices, the bad choices and the good choices, I'm living with the consequences. I used to tell you've said it so many times tonight, there's consequences for your choices. I told my kids the same things over and over. There are consequences for your good choices, consequences for your good choices, consequences for your bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
You pick your choices, you pick your consequences. Choose wisely, because it's going to follow you for a long, long time.
That's good.
But I, at some point, chose the bad choices. Even after preaching to my kids, choose right, choose right. I still chose wrong. And my kids watched me. And so I still carry that. The guilt, the shame, embarrassment. I still carry physical issues from choices. Loss of friendships.
Well, we can know the right thing and tell people the right thing, and we do that pretty often, but sometimes when it comes down to a difficult situation, just because we know what's right, sometimes we don't have what it takes to make the choice, the right choice, the healthy choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes most of the time it even shocks ourselves.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And then when we recognize that we made the wrong choice, what we need to do is not double down. Right?
But that's what I did. That's what I did. I said, well, I've already started down there, so I'm going, because if I turn back now, I'm gonna look like a fool. I gotta commit.
Got it.
I gotta commit. And I kept thinking,
try to outrun it.
Try to outrun it. I can fix it. I kept thinking, I can fix it. I'm in control. I'm still my own, but I can fix it. I can fix it.
So how'd that work out for you?
Not so good. Not so good, Doug.
Oh.
Not so good, because now
How did it work out for you all? How did it work out for you? Yeah.
What do you mean workout?
No.
Yeah.
No. Because I was foolish. I was not right with God. I was running away from God instead of walking with God and letting God lead me. I was running away from God.
Well, my question that I had written down here, and I'm trying to move it around because it's about responsibility. And in not taking responsibility for our bad choices, that puts us in a bad spot, right? And then we double down, it's even worse. And so, and our responses are our responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And we have, and what life is all about is experiencing it. And then when we've experienced it and we know that we made the wrong choice, that's a mistake, right? That's when we make a change. But then if we double down, we already know that's the wrong choice, but we double down, and that's what we talked about a while ago, transgression, knowing that it's wrong, but maybe I can outrun this thing. And how does that work out for us?
Oh, very, very not good.
So what did you learn from the lesson tonight?
I learned a whole lot. It's just hard to make it make sense coming out of my head. It's good to look deep down and take the good hard look, because when you find it in there, the bad and the ugly, like you talked about, and you get it and you own it,
Right, gotta own it.
You got to own it. Then you can get rid of it. Because you
Right.
can't get rid of something that you don't own.
That's true.
Because wouldn't that be called stealing?
That would be.
Right? So you can't get rid of it if you don't own it. So you have to take responsibility and own it to get rid of it. So you really got to,
And I want to back up and make sure that we apply what we've already talked about, and that is oftentimes we have to look at our habits
yes,
and we don't even know it's a habit
yes,
until we take a look at it and see how destructive that habit is, or that reaction or that response, to something, or that's the way I've always done it because that's the way my family always did it.
yes, yeah,
And so I don't know any different, except now I really do.
yeah,
So that's that deep dive, and we have to be willing to look at that. And if
Yeah.
you look into it, you can and will be released from it if you're willing to stay with it.
and I'm looking forward to the part where it's not so hurtful anymore.
Well, what's hurting?
Well, digging up all the ick, because there's lots of ick.
But what is it that's hurting?
Realizing there's so much ick.
And what does that mean?
That it's coming out and it's getting cleaned, and that's ultimately a good thing.
And what is that?
Well, you tell me.
You want me to tell you?
Well, I don't know what you're looking for.
Well,
So,
I was just going to I'll say one word. How about that?
okay,
How about pride?
that works. Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't realize how much that can steer us.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so anyway,
'Cause I mean-
I know I took a little bit of advantage there.
No,
but I
I'm
thought
glad. No, this is your show. I'm just up here to make it look pretty.
Well, thank you very much. So, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway. I gotta do this. Yeah.
Why?
To get better.
Okay. Why? Why do you want to get better? That's a legitimate question.
It is. And you took me off guard by that one. Because I do. Because I've lived with this long enough.
All right. And that sounds.
And I've lived with it long enough. It's time for the ick to come out.
Good.
And I've got some in there that's been in there for quite a while.
Okay.
And it's just time.
So I guess I'll shortcut. Is it in your best interest?
Absolutely, it's in my best interest. It's in my best interest. It's in the best interest of my kids, because you were talking about generational.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are watching me.
Mm-hmm.
My kids have watched what I've been through and what I've gone through. And so they're watching me. And what I do and say will affect them. It's already affected them in huge, enormous ways.
Our children, our grandchildren, our
Children and
great-grandchildren.
yes.
And
So what I say and do and how I live my life affects my kids and my grandkids. So it's not just for me. It's for my family, my heritage.
And that's a good thing
Yeah.
to realize.
Yeah.
Because, I've said this before, when we change, we affect everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you force it, but you do affect it.
Yes.
They have their choice, but we affect them and hopefully we affect them in a positive way
Yes.
and not in a destructive way.
Well, I've already affected them enough in a destructive way, how I figure it. So I need to,
We can't change the past,
can't change the past.
but yet
no.
we can alter the past.
I can change the future.
You can step in the future,
And-
and as you go through and that future becomes the past, then you are altering the past.
Yes.
So, at least that's the way I see it.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh, I hope not.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate it. You did good.
Thank you.
Let's see, I have a sheet here for next week. Let's see. Receiving forgiveness for next week, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's Tommy.
And
And that's out of Matthew 5, 23 and 24. And then Robert will be doing the reflection. So that'll be next week. Any comments? Who's got a takeaway from tonight?
Deal with your kid, court deal with you.
That's one way of putting it, yeah. Because it will, right?
Either put you in the hospital or in jail. Or in the grave.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. And, hopefully, we do go, I think we go pretty deep on some stuff, so only take that you can use right now, and you can set the rest of it on the shelf until you can later. How about that? If you do later. So may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you and give you his peace. And